Hi guys, it is Facebook Live number 74, and today's topic has been brought up to me several times, and I've been experiencing it as well. And I think I've discovered the secret when your kids either yell, "You don't understand," or they slam the door in your face, right? They rush into their room and they say, some little ones say, "I wish someone said to one of my moms." My mom client said, "I wish I had a different mom." And when you hear those hurtful words, your heart as a mother is crushed. But I want you to remember what it was like. I don't know if you had those torturous teen years, or sometimes you're not even a teen, right? You could be an 8-year-old dealing with frustration. And my friend Mello from Kauai said, who's going to be a speaker on the upcoming parenting summits this Saturday and Sunday, said, when you're feeling like you're crushed, remember to flip that switch, change your mindset, and remind yourself that your child just needs to express his or her emotions in the heat of the moment. So if you rush in, and I used to do that, you rush in and say, "Well, I didn't do anything wrong," or "Help, what do you mean you don't understand?" Or "I don't understand." You don't understand. Or you feel like, you're making a mountain out of a molehill, or "Stop being so melodramatic," or "What is going on?" And the tone of your voice makes an impact on how your child, adult child or toddler, will respond, and whether they will feel heard, understood, and not judged. When my daughter, 19-year-old Chelsea, said a couple years ago when I interviewed her, she said, "Mom," I said, "what do kids want your age?" And she said, "All we want is to be heard, understood, and not judged." And I thought, what? All of us just want that, right? If your boss or your significant other or your friend or even your child judges you, you feel incompetent. You feel like throwing in the towel. You feel like resigning from parenting. I know that I feel like that even today. And each time I wonder whether I should quit the parent coaching journey, my friends remind me, "Karen, you're relatable," because I've been there, guys. And I've been told many times, and then with an apology sometimes afterwards. But if we do not allow our kids, I've written some notes, to just express their emotions, right? And don't say, "There's nothing wrong. Why are you making a big deal?" Or just, making them feel that they're not good enough, or they are not entitled. Aloha to you, George West. All kids just want to have that emotional meltdown. And as a parent, we should also have the right to have the emotional occasional meltdown. And I've been having a meltdown recently. You can tell planning this pandemic parenting summit has come up with unpredictable challenges. And I've told my daughters, sometimes these meltdowns have to happen in order for you to grow through your challenges. So you're not suffering and going through struggles, but you are growing through it. And there is a purpose to every meltdown. And if your child is allowed to have that safe place, to have that meltdown, they will be less irrational. They'll be less argumentative, because they will know that they have a safe place to have their meltdown. As long as it's safe, as long as they're not hitting anyone, right? They're not being violent. It's okay. I had a mom of a 4-year-old say, "You know what? If you need to scream, go into your room, do your screaming. When you're done, come out." And in about 5 minutes, her son came out and said, I'm done, Mom. I'm ready. I'm ready to continue my day." And I thought, wow, we need to teach all of our keiki, right? Teenagers and even adult children, that it's okay, because we all seem to resist feeling anxiety or feeling worried or feeling pissed off. We don't want to feel it. And I'm here to remind you to go ahead and feel it. And also teach your kids. I've been teaching my 5-year-olds, it's like, it's okay. My brain's telling me to be naughty. It's like, your brain will tell you instructions to get you in trouble, but our job is to control our brain rather than allow our brain to control us. And I thought, this analogy that popped up into my head, that you are sometimes riding this crazy horse and you let go of the reins, and instead of saying, you know what, wait a minute, I'm in control. Hey, Nathan, I'm in control here and I can rein in this crazy horse that I'm riding. And it might take a couple minutes, but if you are aware, right, and you acknowledge, hey, right now I need to accept that my child is having this tantrum. My child doesn't like me. My child even wants another parent, right? I had a 5-year-old say, and I'm going to run away. And I just said, well, you have to make sure that, you have enough food, you have where you're going to sleep, and he thought about it. And he said, I don't know if I can. It's my friend Mary. It's something that we need to train our mindset to be okay with your kids saying these harsh, hurtful words, because guess what? It just shows that they're normal, and we are normal as parents to feel hurt, right? You feel devastated when someone says, you don't understand, I don't even want to be around you. And last week, something similar happened. And I should remind myself to step back, to take a deep breath, and just help my daughter navigate through these really sometimes torturous waters of life, right? And you want so much to fix it. You even want to prevent it, or you want to just give some kind of rescue remedy so your kids do not have to suffer. And what I did was, she was crying, and I said, you know what, it's okay to cry. And I started doing my comforting little mama speech. And she said, Mom, can you please stop talking? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then I thought I failed. And then I've been seeing this holistic therapist who said, you know what, that is amazing that you gave her, you just listened to her and you allowed her to set healthy boundaries. And I thought, okay, I guess I went to immediate personal rejection instead of saying, I'm going to listen and I'm going to respect her boundaries. So a little later, she always comes up to me and wants a hug, one of my daughters. And so I opened her room and opened her door and said, hey, do you want a hug? And she said, no. And so I closed the door and I was like, it's okay. It's okay. She later came and asked for a hug, but it always has to be on their terms. And as a parent, you think, you know what? You got to listen to me because I am wiser and I have lived longer. And if you listen to me, your life is going to be so much easier, right? Well, you know what? No matter if that's true or not, if your kids don't feel that they're able to have this meltdown in front of you, if they're, unable to even express their emotions, as harsh as they may be, they will start hiding things, they will start keeping secrets, and they won't feel that they have a safe environment. So recently, I didn't realize how easy it is to detach emotionally. And the key is, as you're listening to them rant and rave, or you have a toddler and they're screaming, you're just looking, giving them eye-to-eye contact, or just be present with them and deep breathe, observe, don't offer any opinions, and just be there. You can say something like, after they yell, you don't understand. You're right. You're right, I don't understand. Can you help me understand? I really want to understand what you're going through. And they might, this might not work, because if you have oppositional children, or if they're in that moment where nothing you say will, appease them, take that as a sign and step back. Oh, thank you, George. He says, I love the new Karen. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Yes, 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 yes. And sometimes we don't even understand, right? If your child doesn't understand why they're upset, I'm realizing I don't need to understand. I just need to be there to support and show my girls that I love them unconditionally. And I'm there to listen. which, is very hard for me because, I go into parent coach mode or educator mode, or I'm going to make this into a life lesson. And so my daughters say, Mom, are you going to make this into a life lesson? No. And that's my cue. And I've been listening. And sometimes through text, if they're having a meltdown, I just say, wow, it sounds like you're having a hard day. And then you know what happens? They're like, thank you so much, Mom, for understanding. And I'm thinking, I didn't even need to fix anything. I didn't even have to give some, comforting advice. That was the comfort they needed. Like, you know what? Wow, it sounds like you're really struggling today. And that's it. Sometimes I send a cute little picture of one of our dogs or the cat, in a little ball. And I'll say something like, oh, look, the cat just wants to relax. And my daughter will write, no, the cat's saying, Mom, stop taking pictures of me. And they end up laughing. Or an old memory photo. It's amazing how if you just listen or even, change their mindset, which is possible through laughter, through sometimes it's my silly sloth emoji, and they just laugh, I'll just get a laugh little emoji and say, oh, Mom, and then they'll be like, thanks. Because when we're in it, and you've been there, right? You feel like life is just not worth even, what is this? And how am I going to even navigate? And when you're having a stressful day, and sometimes you're tired, you are just like, I don't want to handle another thing. And then, of course, there's a wonderful opportunity that presents itself where you have to practice patience, or you have to practice letting go. And I've had moments this week, Mom, you got to let go. I'm like, you know what? But I'm practicing perseverance right now. I'm like, Mom, if you're frustrated, aren't you supposed to let go? And then I'm realizing, you know what? You're right. And all children want to be told they're right. Good morning, my empowerment coach, Deslyn Hawkias. Yeah, we were just talking about, how we need to really gain perspective. Gain perspective, and no matter what, don't allow your children's negative reaction. You don't understand, or, oh my gosh, I hate you right now, or you just leave me alone. And then you feel personally rejected. And I always thought, I need to have a tough skin, maybe one day. And I thought, you know what? I just have to detach. And visualizing your little peace bubble. I've been talking about this peace bubble a lot. And all you do is make it so strong in your head. Mine is a glittery peace bubble. And no matter what arrows try to pierce it, I don't allow it to get my, and if it does puncture my peace bubble, I immediately become aware. So when my daughter said, well, how do you know, to be aware? The immediate reaction that you have as soon as you feel like, oh my gosh, I can't do this anymore, or you feel overwhelmed, you feel super, super upset, you feel any type of negativity, that is a huge clue to deep breathe. So someone said, you know what, you might not want to meditate, you might not want to deep breathe, right? Because you're so filled with anger. So move your body. It can be as simple as getting up, right? Walking to the fridge and getting your favorite drink. Not an alcoholic drink if you're working. But run to the bathroom, run back. Do 3 jumping jacks. I have told my students, even virtual, you know what, give me 5 jumping jacks right now, because they're like, I am so tired. And then they'll do the ones that don't even count. I go, no, your hands must be touching, and then you have to, jump. And then they start giggling, and then guess what? The tutoring session resumes, the meltdown ends, and like Destin always says, use art. And a lot of you will say, but I'm not into drawing. I never thought in a million years I would be playing with acrylic paints, watercolor paints, and sometimes just colored markers. So I'll get markers and I will just doodle. I don't consider myself, someone who just doodles or makes abstract designs, but something happens to your brain when yes, art. Oh yeah, Mr. George West is a chalk artist and just a really masterful artist. Deslin, love your paintings. Yes, I did give her, I call it my impaired bird of paradise, and she puts it as her backdrop during her podcast and her lives, and I think, oh my gosh, that's what I did. And she made me realize it is not an impaired flower. It is just a very creative way that you created your bird of paradise. And that's when you know that you have a good friend and a positive empowerment coach who empowers you, and no matter what mistake you make, her words of, you know what, Karen, you still have the A. You still earn the A, because she knows how my mind works. And if I make a mistake, I think I failed. And so that's what I've been doing with my students. And I had a student who, always says, my teachers don't understand. And she said something that made my day. She said, you know what? I had a 3 out of 4, which is a 75, as you know. But I told myself, you know what? It doesn't matter what grade I got, right? I said, right. In fact, sometimes you want that bad grade, because why do you want that bad grade? And she's like, because it's going to prepare me for real life. And you can tell she's just saying it just out of memorization, because I've been saying it. But she kind of giggled. And I want everyone to know, and everyone's been reminding me. I mean, George has been my friend through the deepest depressions. And he made, in fact, a really pretty artwork with like margaritas, massage, walk the dogs, yoga. And it's coming up. I invite you to come up with 5. Yes, that's so relatable. 5 things that you can do in the burst of your emotions. And sometimes, you know what mine is? Everyone knows I'm a Bee Gees fan. I play How Deep Is Your Love, and within, I swear, 10 seconds, it's like even better than a deep breath. But I do believe in the power of the deep breath. So I deep breathe while listening to the Bee Gees, while listening to Andy Gibb, or even, some of the 1960s musicians. And it's amazing, music. But say I'm walking my dogs. I don't have music available. I leave my phone at home. And I just run. I am not an athlete by any means. And I just run for like 10 seconds. And when you start running, and I watch my little dogs, their little butts are just shaking. And they're really, really cute, right? 20 pounds Dachshunds. That when they walk, their butts little just shake, and I think, they're just in a happy place, and they don't care. They're in the moment. You can learn a lot just observing an animal, a bird, even an insect. An ant doesn't say, oh my gosh, it is raining, this is just ruining my day. They just go along the flow. So my last few tips on what to do when your child just bursts your peace bubble. Don't minimize, right? Don't minimize and say something like, oh my gosh, why are you doing this to me right now? I'm guilty of saying, it is my birthday. It is Mother's Day. Right? And I look back, and I've been apologizing a lot for the things that I've said. And I'm like, that's okay, Mom. You would have been a different parent had you been a parent coach, right? And I said, definitely. But if I didn't experience all of these mistakes, I would not have learned. So they know that there was a purpose to my mistakes. Detach emotionally. That one tip will help save your sanity, because you're not going to feed into it. You don't respond sometimes. If you're so upset, just don't respond. Or even say, you know what, I'm going to respect your space right now, and I'm going to walk away. And if no matter what they say, you continue walking away and deep breathing and don't even engage. So when you detach emotionally, your brain says, okay, we're detaching, right? I'm telling all my students, you give the instructions to your brain. Don't let your brain dictate your reactions. And this one will be hard for some of us. Stop being right, or the need to be right. So I've said things, like my daughter will be like, so you didn't listen? You said that you were going to blah, 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 blah. And I say, you know what? You're right. I must have forgotten. That took many years for me to practice. I'm sorry, you're right. They look at you like, what? I'm right? And I'll say like, I guess I was wrong. I'm wrong. I'm sorry. Those two things, they're like gold. They're worth, certain words that you say will make your child not only feel understood, but feel unconditionally loved. Deslin Hawkins, yes, detach. Love, but don't get overly charged emotionally, temporarily. Yeah, temporarily. Take a deep breath. You just cannot deep breathe too much, right? And this is a good one. One of my Australian moms just reminded me yesterday, just stop and listen without offering your opinion. Your words of wisdom will not be appreciated. Call up a friend, vent. I call Deslin all the time and say, oh my gosh. And she makes me laugh. She makes me emotionally detach. And she reminds me, guess what? You're human for making that mistake, and they're human. And we just need to practice love, peace, and choose not to take everything so seriously. And then a simple, so what's going on? Right? You feel that shift in energy. So what's going on? You'd be surprised. Sometimes you'll hear nothing. And then if you just pause, it will seem like an eternity. Well, for me, all of a sudden, when they feel safe, they just magically share. Well, you know what happened today, Mom? And they share. I've been just amazed. And then I deep breathe, and I know they're watching for my words of wisdom speech. And then I don't. I'm like, wow. Mom. And then sometimes I say, what can I do? Can I do anything? Can I have a hug? Yes. And I give them a hug. Thanks, Mom. And the conversation ends just like that. Magic. I'm telling you guys, magic. So set emotional boundaries, right? Which you need someone sometimes to remind you. Sometimes you need an accountability partner, and it could be a friend. It could be your significant other sometimes, unless you're trying to create an emotional boundary with him or her, just someone. And if it's not someone, when you find yourself, right, getting upset or feeling that emotionally charged feeling where you know you're about to lose it, or you're just feeling like, ugh, we all know that feeling, right? Like, ugh, that's your sign. Walk away, move, take a breath of fresh air. I read a psychologist saying that you can just open the window and look outside. You don't have to be outside. If you can go outside, go outside. But look at the clouds, look at the moon, look at the darkness, and just observe. Wow, look at that plant. Look at the moon. Wow, it's pitch black. I can't see anything. But once your mind it really is distracted, because it goes from to oh, right? Your brain is constantly, thousands of thoughts in a single day. And I think some of us have maybe 1 million per day. But know that it's normal, right? My dad used to say, I don't like when Sabrina cries. If she cries, then I don't want you guys to go on a date, because we'd have a weekly date night. And my dad would always really respect like parent authorities. He's probably laughing now. I don't know what he thinks that I'm a parent coach while he's in heaven. But I told him, I called Parent Line. And he goes, yeah, and what did they say? They said that children need to know that parents deserve time away from them, and that the world does not revolve around them. Because that's how I was raised. So I'm trying to break away from that. Those of you who know me as an only child, that's a whole different Facebook Live. But so I told them. They said that it's okay for her to cry. She needs to learn that Mom and Dad have their own separate world, and they need to go on these dates to strengthen their relationship, which will strengthen the family. And he goes, okay, if that's what Parent Line said. Just like that. My dad was a strong believer in Google, but I was always find something that said the opposite to prove that you can't trust Google all the time, right? Depending on what websites. Are they valid? Are they, right? This is why kids sometimes tell you don't understand, because think about it. It's like you both are in Google land, and they find one website that says something totally against what your website is saying, and both of you guys don't understand. So I think the goal should be Be okay with not understanding. You don't understand. You're right. I really don't understand. If you want to help me understand. No, I don't want to help you understand because you won't understand. Okay. Well, you know what? I guess I have to be fine not understanding. And, you know, if you ever want to come up and let me know and, you know, share some insight, I'm here for you. But if not, I respect your space. Walk away before you end up like me and turning it into a life lesson. But kids, oh, I love this quote. Kids only have power that you give them. So if you find your kids sassing back, you know, a lot of parents go, I'm sure that, you know, when you observe that behavior, they were never taught to respect. Every child, no matter how much you teach them, they're human. So they will tend to, I mean, if you have a robot child, and I used to be, you know, a robot child, and then I became 16 and tested authority, then you have someone who's so scared to be wrong, so scared not to get your approval. And that was my eldest, who is now not a people pleaser. Part of me is happy, part of me misses those days. But really know that it is not healthy to be a people pleaser. It is not healthy to be a people pleaser. You do not want a child to be a people pleaser, right? Because you know what that leads to? They're not going to set healthy boundaries. People might take advantage of them as an adult because they do not want to disappoint. And I've been struggling a lot during this pandemic parenting summit where I didn't want to disappoint the speakers. I didn't want to disappoint possible interested participants. I just didn't want to disappoint. And I had Motivated Mellow and Des, my Kauai sisters, remind me, you know what? Your goal is just share this panel of 10 experts, and your goal is not to please. And that totally shifted my mindset. But, you know, I do sink into that. But thank you for watching, guys. This is George West's comment. Children will model back what you display to them. Oh, absolutely. You show anger, they model back anger. I've had to be careful about that with my special needs son. Yes. I've had 5-year-olds say, you know what, Miss Karen, only dads can say the F word, right? Yeah, that made me pause. Or, you know, just these words that kids say. I had a mom complain that her 3-year-old called her a fat B word. How are 3-year-olds even learning these words? But with social media, even if they're not on social media, they hear, they observe. You could just go to Walmart and hear swearing, right? We went camping, I remember, as a family, and there was a couple fighting, and oh my gosh, there was a lot of inappropriate language used. And Chelsea, who was maybe, 12, said, Mom, they're using a lot of naughty words. And I just said, yes, they are. And, you know, what can you do? I think we decided to play a game or something. Food, fun. The F word. Yes, fudge. Fantastic. I'll close with this. And it doesn't have to do with you don't understand, but it tells you how children's brains work. You got to remember now, those children's brains are the size of a macadamia nut. And they don't fully mature till mid-20s. Sometimes emotionally maturity doesn't happen until your early 40s. So we are constantly growing, depending on your circumstances, your experiences. The childhood trauma can be as small as someone making you feel inferior. You know, like, nope, that is wrong. Then you think, oh my gosh, you know? And then you don't feel understood. You don't feel valued. And then that really rips your self-esteem. So one day, my Sabrina was maybe 8 and said, Mom, I learned the S word. And I said, what is it? What's the second letter? And she said, T. So I knew that was stupid. So I said, can you spell it? And she's like, S-T-U-P-I-D. That's a really bad word. And I just breathed a sigh of relief, and I said, yeah, it is. And of course, they grow older, and they learn all kinds of flowery language. But anyway, thanks, guys. And I invite you to join me this Saturday and Sunday. Pop in if you can't stay for the whole time. It's going to be 10 a.m. to noon Hawaii time. And I am excited. I'm excited. At the same time, I do feel like I might be having an anxiety attack. But you know what? Desmond says thank you. Yeah, I've been planning this since May, and the time has come. I turned 57 this Saturday. And yeah, a lot is happening this week. I am part of Coach V's Aloha team, and I'm going to memorize. I'm in the middle of memorizing a poem that I'll share later. Please support me, and his flyer is going to look backwards. But yes, it's the Pandemic Parenting Summit, and we will be having fun. We'll be preparing for the forever changing new normal. How do we parent for tomorrow? Stay tuned. I know I might be going overboard with the promoting of this seminar summit, but you know, sometimes it takes 38 times, or everyone is different, and maybe the 47th time you see me say, hey, do you know what's happening this weekend? You'll pop on, and it will be life-changing. Every single one of these speakers I chose because I know that they have expert parenting wisdom that will change your parenting journey forever. I promise you that. So thank you for watching, and have a wonderful Wednesday. Thanks, guys. Bye.